Good afternoon and welcome to Talk Sports, our weekend program where we, discuss sports in general, speak with the movers and shakers of sports, the sportsmen, sportswomen, coaches, administrators, just about everyone. Welcome once again because it's our first program for the new season, as we will say. We have been off for the past, 2 weeks, right? And we indicated that we'll be back on air on the 26th of August. Unfortunately, it's the penultimate day of the World Athletics Championship, but our program was scheduled to resume on the 26th of August. On today's program, we will be reviewing in particular the past 7 days, because it's day 8 of the championships, 9 days of competition. So we'll be looking at the past about 7 days of the championships, the highs and lows, and looking specifically at the Caribbean's performances at the World Athletics Championships. Obviously, there's a bias towards Grenada, but overall, we're looking at the Caribbean. As you recall, Grenada only had 4 participants at the World Athletics Championships. In that of Kirani James, Anderson Peters was also there's Lyndon Victor, who, by the way, is still competing, and Hali Hazard, the lone female of the championship. Well, I'll try to get my co-host in as early as possible because he has about 40 minutes to discuss with us and to hear. And then we'll also have some of the comments from folks who have been, chiming in during the past week. Let me say good afternoon to Rudian first. But Rudian, good afternoon to you. But I just want to add that part there. But by the way, your audio.
Yeah.
So I was saying that welcome once again, and it was a good break. But for the past few days, I've been not so much engaged, but reading some of the comments from some folks, and it's striking, Rudy, and that a lot of people, well, I guess as much as being exposed because of social media, but they're not familiar with the rules of track and field. The rules of track and field, that's one. And in some instances, they always believe, I guess as much since the Kirani James phenomenon in 2011, they always believe that there must be a win, there must be a victory. And they don't understand what it takes, the commitment, the dedication, and all they're talking about is 473 and, we're proud and this, that. But it's striking also that it's underscoring the importance of how you provide support to your sportsmen and sportswomen.
Most definitely. A pleasure. Good evening to you. It's good to see you again. And your listeners. It's good to be back on Sports Talk. Most definitely. And as you rightly said, and also Kirani has been going through some sadness at the same time, with the passing of his coach, beloved coach, for many years, like a father to him. And that also would affect him. And like you said, knowing the rules of the sport, not only in track and field, but just in sports in general, is very important. But also in track and field, knowing the rule of the sport and what it means. So most definitely, it's sad to see that happen for him. However, it is the sport. It is not him. It happened to many others in the past. It's just that our biasness towards our countrymen would play a part. Yeah.
So in starting, let me also say why it also underscore the point why Kirani is a true champion, because you will know that not many athletes in his situation would have competed. I mean, look, for example, Michael Norman. Mentally, whatever it is, I mean, he has really nothing to lose. Defending champion, he could
definitely
go into the championships, and I'm certain he was thinking that if he's competing, he's certain of a medal. But that's minus the point. Okay, but here is Kirani with what we call tragedy after tragedy, right? Um, the last one being his coach. Before that, he had the grave disease. His mother passed away. All these sort of things. Probably how he was so close to his mom, that could have been a reason for Kirani to just say, "Hey, let me, take
On quits. Yeah.
call myself out, take myself out the track and field, and concentrate now as Kirani as an individual." Okay,
Yeah.
no, he didn't. He went through what is called the grave disease, and as they said, not many athletes, sportsmen and sportsmen competing at his level will continue, because remember, he's taking medication for the rest of his natural life. Okay,
Yeah.
he has to do that. Then here comes his coach, who he has been with as a father figure for the past 13 years. That has devastated him. Yeah, I mean, Kirani competed in probably just one event since his coach passed. So I think there was a lot going against him, but he still wanted to. That's the nature of
To
Kirani.
compete. Yeah.
He wants to
And
compete.
and also, Michael, if we understand, Kirani is the most decorated 400-meter runner in the world. And I will say that because he have won every major, no other athlete that ever done it, won every major 400-meter championship, starting from the junior level, even the character level, go all the way up to the world championship. As we say the Olympics because it stops at the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
He has won each and every one of them. He has got a goal in every world major, and he's the only one in that sport, in the only sport. We may love Usain Bolt, but Usain Bolt used to run another event, and Usain Bolt did too. But he's the only one from when he started to do that, and that's in the 400 meters. So Michael Johnson don't have a junior title, even though he at one point he had the world record. So that never happened. So, but like I said, he went through, and I strongly believe that Kirani know that the country is behind him, the people are supporting him in any decision that he make. He don't need to prove anything to anyone. Now everything that he's doing is for himself. It's not for anyone else. He probably might say, "I'm doing it for my coach." Maybe this one was for the coach. We don't know, and just it just happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as Edwin is saying, good afternoon to you, Edwin. He turns 31 next week. September 1 is known as Kirani Day. Okay. So yes, and as we know, the 400 meters, if we can just spend a minute more on that, is one of is a sprint these days. I mean, probably 10 years ago, a 400 meters,
Not.
it's just this. Yeah, it's almost like,
Yeah.
you jog a bit and, and then you try to do a little
But
sprint. And like that.
I also just to add to that, remember Michael Johnson, he had his 4P. You understand? And you understand what I mean? So you also have to understand that even when Michael Johnson had the 4P, he had to control himself. You understand? So he power out, he pace himself, he position himself, and he pray. That's his words. The 4P. So you're not running full up, but today 400 800 meters go down is a sprint. So it's no longer that controlling everything. It's a sprint now. So it is definitely.
Good afternoon to you, Gordon, Bonnie, Julian as well. But we'll come back a little on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to put in context, we had Hazard, that's Hali Hazard in the women's 100 meters, and Hazard is a determined athlete herself, and I will assume once she stay in the sport, she will grow from strength to strength. It's her first major competition. She has competed at the college level, the NCAA, and even at the Carifta Games. She had a year or two at the Carifta Games and things. So we will see Ali Hazard once she stay in competition. She should be, and I think she's also working out with Aline Francique, because she was in Grenada working out with Francique some time ago. Then we have Anderson Peters. Well, history really was against Grenada, because we had Anderson Peters, who was actually going for is a third gold medal, but again, like like Kirani James, he had some challenges as well. He had the injury, he had the issue and things like that. So there would have been a lot of pressure on him. You know, and again, the javelin is another competitive event. Gone are the days where we see the Europeans.
The Europeans, the Germans,
from Norway, Finland, you know, these places dominating. Now we are seeing the Africans, we are seeing the Indians, for example. India has 3 finalists, you know, Pakistan, you know, so it's becoming challenging. Whereas before, even where the United States was dominating, we see now that other nations are really
dominated.
Right. Yep. And then we have Lyndon Victor, who is currently competing. By the way, Lyndon was...
He's in a very, very good position. Very good position.
Not just good position, but remember, Lyndon has been... Lyndon was off the circuit for at least 6 months because he had a sports hernia, right? And you'll probably hear in some of the clips I will play, the commentators were referring to that. He's currently in 4th position with 7,214 points. Well, the lead is being interchanged because the German, Pierre Lepage of Canada is leading, 7,477. The German, who has been leading for quite a while, that's Lionel Schberg, 7,282. And then we have Damian Warner, the Olympic champion. He's also there at 7,260. Listen, it's just a mere 100 and something, probably less than 200 points separating those guys, right?
Yep. And it's good because, like I said, Pierce definitely has improved so much from where he was in the past to where he at now. He definitely is in a position for a medal with 2 more events to go.
But
go ahead. No, go ahead.
You're saying that, but the interesting thing is that the 2 events that remain in, right? The javelin throw, which Lyndon is probably the best of the throwers.
A lot
of things could happen there. A lot of things could happen, right? And then we have the 1500, which is one of his weak events, you know. So he will have to really...
You have to make it up in the javelin.
Make it up in the javelin and ensure that he gets... Yes, he has to do a personal best in the javelin because he had the opportunity to go 1,000 plus in the discus, right? He went 974. Well, he got the most points because he won that the discus throw. But if he had gone, let's say 55, he got a 54. Let me just double check, a 54.97, which is, by the way, is a championship decathlon best. He did that twice in that same event. Okay, if he had gone to 55, right? There's every reason where he could have gone 1,000 plus points. Okay? Remember, the more you get, the more points you get, right?
The more points you get,
But so right now, 7,214 to 7,260 by Damian Warner. That's just a mere 46 points. I'm getting
46 points, 46 something like that.
Them. And the javelin throw, I think, is an opportunity for him to make it up, and then he can probably pace himself in the 1500, knowing
he had to
1500.
I believe to get on the podium, he had to have 2 lifetime bests in both the javelin and in the 1500. He had to run the rest of his life, and he had been doing it. He had a few season bests for the season, which is really good. But I think the 1500 have to be a lifetime best, and then he knows the position that he's in, and he and the coach is going to discuss in terms of what position you need to come in terms of points. They can add those stuff up, right? So I think it's going to be the next 2 events. Right now, they're probably in discussion as we speak. They're probably talking strategy, what needs to get done, what needs to be done, especially when it comes down to the last race. There'll be a lot of talking of what position you need to be in or what time you need to run and those type of things. And I believe that I think Damian Warner had gone through a situation where he can be in that fourth spots. I'm thinking the Canadian going to take 4th. And again, I'm biased to my countrymen, and we want to get a medal. And I think that's our only hope right now. There is no other hope. Our only hope to get a medal is through him, and I believe that it's right there to get it.
Yeah, well, it's it's interesting, eh? And let me see if I can get some. I think it was the discus part of it. I just grabbed some footage and put them together. Let me see if I can just share that.
Grenada had a chance to talk to his coach Chris Huffins just prior to the discus here as well. But Lyndon Victor's outstanding discus thrower. And he sails one over the 50-meter line, and that looks to be the longest throw of the day. And this has always been a strong area for Lyndon Victor, but he's just plugging away, plugging along. Anything can happen in these last 3 events. Just got to get through the first 2 here. Very powerfully built young man, long levers. His brother was the Grenadian decathlon record holder, and then Lyndon Victor came along. Lyndon Victor, a very successful career at Texas A&M, and he was the NCAA record holder for some time. That was broken by Aiden Owens-Delerme last season.
These men are so used to, whether they competed together in college or at age group championships, that they might not have gone head to head, but they'd be aware of that history there. You know, if someone had a record, someone else has broken it, they're trading best performances at that age and stage in that environment. So they'll know an awful lot about each other. Is not split in the discus here in the pools. It's not by season's best or personal best. It's rather by pole vault ability, because they need the correct rest, the safe amount of rest here between the discus and between the pole vault.
They've got the pole vaulters in a group that jump a little bit higher and start a little bit higher starting point. I think Lyndon Victor is in a good position to really bomb one here. He's got a good first throw. Whoa! And look at that one.
Cooey, Lyndon Victor, double Commonwealth Games champion. Doesn't even look that bothered.
Well, he hasn't had the best scoring decathlon up until this point. You know, he would have loved to have high jumped another bar. He'd love to run a little bit faster in the 400 meters and then had a 55-meter discus throw.
So Victor, he hasn't even looked bothered. That was so impressive off Lyndon Victor. It's a championship decathlon best. He surpasses the mark of Yuri Sakura. That was set in Eugene last summer, 54.39. Victor, 54.64, but it isn't even his personal best, so fair play, but it's the best we've ever seen within a World Championships.
Well, but look at him. I want people to look at him and think about the body language. Where is his mind? He seems ultimately focused. He's not celebrating. He's just out there grinding it out, getting the job done. I loved where his brain was at that moment. Victor will finish this competition. He wants the crowd behind him. Big throw there on the second round. 54.64. We've never seen a 55-meter throw at the World Championships in the multi-events. Lyndon Victor's all-time personal best, 55.87. The crowd is with him. Another big one for Lyndon Victor. He knows he just missed it too, just a little bit. It sailed out there. But as an athlete, you know it's like, oh, I had a little bit more. I could have waited just another split second. I could have held my arm back just a tiny bit more, but he thanks the crowd and their support. Is this the event that's going to get Lyndon Victor back on track?
Fantastic from Lyndon Victor, and there's the emotion. That's what he's been holding in. As I say, where's the smile, where's the punch in the air and jumping around? And Lyndon Victor quite rightly managing his mental energy alongside his physical energy, but good to see a nice broad smile there. And a fantastic event for him, a huge 974 points, and I'll get his name on the top of every result, every start list for men's discus for that championship decathlon best.
Well, and you just wonder for Lyndon Victor, the way his body language is saying, you know what, did I come up with my best performance a little bit late in this decathlon?
Just a look back at Group A and their results. It was Pierce Lepage, top of the pile. He was the event leader coming into this event, and he's extended that with his 50.98. Season's best for Marcus Ruth, and Daniel Golubovic of Australia sticking to his task really well. Yannick Olyan of Estonia with a season's best 40.85 as well. Leo Neugebauer giving up crucial points there, some 70 points behind Piers Lepage. And we've just had a look at the second group. They've just finished and they're wandering off the track. Best mark going to Lyndon Victor. Championship decathlon best 54.97 and some lovely points for Victor. Carol Tilger with a great throw over 50 metres as well. Damien Warner fine, but in terms of picking up the gold medal, he is giving away points to Piers Lepage. Yuma Maruyama with a good season's best as well. We'll see what this event has done to the standings overall. 7 events down, just the pole vault, the javelin and the 1500 to go. Piers Lepage 125 points ahead of Damien Warner and Lyndon Victor. We knew it was a good discus, but look how good it is. He's pushed himself up into the bronze medal position. Leo Neugebauer is going to have some steely resolve if he's going to get himself back into a podium position. Marcus Ruth pushing himself back up into the top 10. Manuel Eitel, damage limitation there. The German stays in 11th. Sander Skotheim will be frustrated to be the second Norwegian. These two have traded blows all season. And his teammate up in 10th place at the moment.
Yes, so...
3 events left for these men.
Well, let's say 2 events left because the pole vault was not included in that one. And I think that is where it turned a bit because, you know, as he was in... After the discus, he was in 3rd position. Could you imagine? After the discus, he went into the javelin. Well, you know, that could have, you know, pushed him a lot. Let me see. He finished the pole vault with a 4.80 meters. 4.80 meters, 849. Not really bad because he was in the close to the 900 region. Yeah. Right, he needed to get 900 plus to stay in there, but going good, and you know, wanted to really share that with you because I had the pole vault somewhere there, but just I thought the discus was very competitive and one that if he can replicate that in some of the other events like the pole vault, like the well, by the way, I realize he has improved in the 400 meters. Right?
Yes, he did. He
has improved in the 400 meters. He's not doing too bad in the 100 as well. But I saw a marked improvement in the 400. And I was just chatting with some guys about Lyndon being considered, especially for his off season, to be a part of a relay team. You know, the 4x4 relay team. He can be in a prelim, run a leg, you know, something like that. And it will help him to in terms of preparation for the decathlon, you know, and things like that. But overall, Rudian, what you thought of so far of Lyndon's performance?
No, I am extremely impressed with what I've seen. Like I said, I haven't seen him like that in the past. There's a lot of season bests, and the next two events is for him. When you do the math, when you're in a position like 6th, 7th place, the feeling is not there to push. But when you're in a 4th and a 3rd spot and someone is very close behind you, you're very close to someone, it encourages you to push more. And especially, like I said, I believe in the next two events, he's going to perform very well. I think he's going to give his absolute best. You might see some season best from him in the next two or even personal best throws. And he might even get a championship in the javelin as well coming up. And I think that's what it is. Yeah, he knows, he do the math. They need to know how much points they need. And if he can get in the 1,000 in the javelin, that'll be really good and help him a lot. You know, if he's up, you have to be ahead by at least 100 points. That will put him in a very good position in the 1,500.
Okay. Well, we spoke a bit about the 400 meters. And by the way, congratulations to Watson. Well, when I did my preview, at least I had Watson and Hudson Smith, as two of the athletes that we need to watch. If they can maintain their consistency, they will be on the
Yeah,
podium. Well,
definitely.
I studied the event. It's an event I study a lot.
I was watching Hudson. I was more into the Hudson.
And that's why I'm saying to Rudy, and we cannot really predict. I mean, we can do it on paper and form. Who are the likely athletes that can make it, that can win medals? But as we always say, let's see, especially where you have to go through the rounds. Let's see who. I guess as much. Who would have thought Van Niekerk in a 400 meters, will finish that? Who will think of because we don't know their condition. What's about Gardner, for example, looking good
couldn't finish.
Looking good all around. Couldn't finish. These are the sort of things. So that's why I always say, let's look at how these athletes look throughout the rounds. And that's why I waited until I saw the athletes competed, and I looked at every single prelims, the heats, semifinals, do an analysis, and then I decided to write something about it.
I mean, Marga, we have seen faster 400 meters in the past.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I watch 300 meters, and I could have bet any money we getting on the podium. I could have bet money just say, we getting on the podium. And those guys didn't give everything that they have in that moment. Everything.
Well,
there was nothing else we could have asked for from those guys. That's all they had. Kirani gave everything he had in this moment. If he go and run tomorrow, he might run a 43 point. But that moment, in that day, they give everything they have, and I'm extremely proud of those guys.
And the tides are turning, because you will recall there were times when the Americans will, if they have three athletes in the final, they'll have gold, silver, bronze.
They'll be the dominant.
They will dominate that. Look, things that the tides are turning.
And if you notice, I haven't seen them dominate like that. I mean, we see it in the 200 men. That's all. Where you get a first and second. If I can recall, I don't even see any first and second in any other event so far, or even 3. So it shows that other countries, other athletes is stepping up, other athletes is performing, and it's all about on the day.
Okay,
that's all it is.
Right. I know you need to, but let me add. So I said congratulations to Antonio Watson. He spoke to the BBC after winning the 400 meters. Let's hear what he had to say.
It's his gold medal, but thank you, Antonio. Congratulations, gold medalist. You did it in style. You came back and you beat one of our British boys, Matthew Hudson-Smith, as well. How is it feeling for you?
It's a great feeling. First World Championship, going home with gold. I'm very excited with myself.
And you must have saw Danielle do really well in the hurdles just before you came out. How did that inspire you, knowing that Jamaica already had a gold medal?
Well, I wasn't really focused on her, but I saw the race. I just tell myself it's your time to just go out there and to do what you do best.
And did you know when you came into this race that you were in gold medal contention? Did you feel it? Because it was such an open race. So many different people could have won that race.
Well, I didn't put the pressure of being a favourite or a pre-race favourite. I just came out here and just to run. And it gave me a gold medal, and I'm excited with it.
One of the first Jamaican men's gold medalists over 400 metres for many, many years. How do you think they'll be feeling back home in Jamaica?
They're excited.
Well done. Congratulations again.
All right, thanks, no problem.
I'd say he's fairly laid back about that win.
I would say that they're not just excited in Jamaica. They were rocking down in the stadium here tonight. A lot of Jamaican flags represented here in the stadium, and it was fantastic to see a young man at the start of his career showing his class.
Yes, and I also want to add, while we're on that, the surprise win of Daniel Williams, okay? Because Kendra Harrison looked all the winner, throughout the rounds, I mean, I would say probably even
highly
even the first 40 meters of the race, she looked as the winner, okay?
Yeah.
But there was Daniel Williams taking the goal in the 100 meters hurdles. Let's hear from Daniel.
Jamaica, and you kicked it off. And to win that gold back after all those years, 2015, this must feel like something.
Oh my God, I have to give God all the glory, all the honor, all the praise. I am so thankful, man. It's been a long time. I've been working to get back to this platform. And this year, it wasn't easy by any means. There are many times I was starting to doubt. I was like, these girls are running fast and we're not running so fast. We always seem that we're just a fraction behind them. But you know what? I just stayed faithful and I trusted God that at the right time it would come together. And this was the result of that.
And it did, from lane 2 as well, Danielle. How much did that help you, knowing that actually you were out of the melee, out of the middle of that race?
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather be out on the outside lane. I prefer lane 2 or 3 all the time. And so I was happy when I got lane 2. I'm happy to be close to the gun. And I was out of the focus, and that allowed me to focus on my lane more than anything.
So competitive, the women's hurdles, and to see all the different colour flags, but the Jamaica flag dotted around this stadium, it must feel special.
Oh, it's awesome. It's tiring, but it's an awesome feeling running around the stadium with your flag and just seeing all the fans, and they're so happy, and I couldn't be more happy than this.
Congratulations and well done.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sure she managed to find some energy for her lap of honour. And as you said earlier on, Denise, a lot of Jamaican flags out tonight. Last night was Norway night. Tonight felt like it was Jamaica night.
Caribbean night, here we come. It was really good. Good energy. They were being very vocal and as I said, dotted all around the stadium. They've had such a good presence across all of the events, particularly in the jumps, particularly on the track. And I just think there's a new wave coming. You know, this is a changing of the guard, some new names to get used to. It's how they can back it up and keep going as the championships keep coming through.
She said it well. She said it right.
New
There's
names
some new names coming.
Yes.
There are some new names
Right,
coming.
and,
you know?
but the challenge there, but as she said, the challenge there is how they can keep it, be consistent, you know, and back up what we're saying there, you know. Well, we saw where Kirani, for example, for the past 13 years, have been very competitive. You know, he has been featured even at his age, you know, and with new blood coming in, new vibes, new everything about it. He was still in the mix. Okay, he was still in the mix. Well, I think is the 4x400 meters heats that's on now, if I'm not mistaken. You know, the as you know, we're getting into it is the penultimate day of competition, and then we should also we have the we also have, let me see if I can get it correctly here. We also have the the marathon was earlier this morning. Okay, we had the marathon earlier this morning. Yes, so we do have the heats for the men's and women's 4x400 meters relay. Trinidad and Tobago. I'm seeing some familiar faces who have been around even before Kirani James. He's running the first leg for Trinidad and Tobago. Wow. Yeah, every time I see that, I'm asking myself, boy, you know, there are a lot I want to talk about regarding that, because I think I was looking at the possibilities of countries qualifying for the Olympic Games, as a matter of fact. And by the way, it's tough for these athletes. Rudy and we spoke about that. It's tough because of the COVID, for example, right? You know, every 2 years we should have the World Championship.
World Championship, yeah.
We almost having the World Championship back to back, right?
Back to back. I mean, we have a major event every year. Major.
For a while, right?
Major.
Because
Olympics, World Championship, Olympics, World Championship, and Olympics, and then I think one more World Championship, and then we back to normality.
So it has been really tough for these athletes, because you had the delayed 2020 Olympic Games in 2021. You had the affected World Championships in 2022, which was last year. You having World Championships this year, and all of that is to get back into the cycle, right?
Yeah.
You having Olympic Games next year,
and then go back to World Championship.
Then World Championships the following year. Then Olympic Games, and then you know, and yeah, it has been tough for these athletes. But the argument is, and I'm hoping that I probably can get a piece with Michael Johnson and them speaking about it, is at some point in time where especially where the world athletics is looking at, that world championships may become an annual event, right?
Which I think, believe it or not, I think it should.
Well, yes. And the argument is, how will it affect the athletes? And they were saying they will have to get accustomed to it. Because, for example, you have tennis with about 5 Grand Slams per year, right?
Yeah.
You have golf with about a tournament every month, different parts of the world, So at some point in time, track and field, and if it's, and I understand the thinking, if it's to remain a global event, at that level, it has to be an annual event. Athletes at some point in time will have to get accustomed to that, And I think it's at a good time. And before you go, I will want you to really listen to that part of that discussion with the BBC commentary team, including that of
Michael
Johnson. Yes.
Mentioned, because I'm sure people are sort of aware of it, that's the slowest 400-meter winning time since the 2011 World Championships.
Wow.
It's been 43 seconds ever since then. So, that standard, like we said, coming into these championships for the 400 wasn't extremely high. Still a thrilling race, which proves that times aren't everything. You can have an amazing race without having these blazing fast times, but just to mention that.
It's well worth mentioning, and it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because I wonder how that will kind of pan out over the next 12 months as we head towards an Olympic Games, and whether or not the lineup will be similar, dissimilar, or will any of those guys make it to that lineup? So much happens, doesn't it, in that 12 months?
Yeah, it does. But who's not here? Hopefully, Stephen Gardner will get an opportunity again to defend his title. We hope Michael Norman is back at full health. Every year, it just gets more and more difficult. There are countries around the world getting better and better. It is not easy to defend your titles these days.
And also with the number of championships as well. We've had back-to-back-to-back championships. So that kind of build-up of injuries and managing your body and building and performing and peaking every year is really difficult.
And it's we were discussing this last night, weren't we, on the bus home, that the US normally have a kind of break year because they've got back-to-back world championships, where the European athletes have got European championships. So it's taking its toll.
It does make a big difference, though, just to have a year or, a good chunk of time where you can just focus in on your training, switch your mind off and just do the kind of routine of what you do and not peak for championships. So it'll be really interesting to see what it's like next year at the Olympics.
Yeah, I think it's something that, this sport just isn't used to. But when you look at other sports, many sports, golf, tennis, they have 4 majors, every year, in addition to, other competitions as well. So, I think it's, the point is that we're not used to it in this sport. Yeah. So when you throw this in, then it becomes problematic. But if you were to start having championships every year, which I know World Athletics wants to do, the athletes will ultimately adjust.
Yeah.
Yes, good point there, right? But here a little breaking news there. India just qualified for the final of the men's 4x400 meters. They finished just behind the United States. And as a matter of fact, I think the United States athletes kind of bumped the Indian athlete. Could you imagine that? India, name me one Indian 400-meter runner. Rudian, can you name me an Indian 400-meter runner?
I cannot. I cannot.
And teams as Botswana and Japan are sitting in the waiting room hoping that they may be able to qualify. Trinidad and Tobago did not qualify, but India finished second. So you see, I always make the argument, that there is a place. There is a place in history for Grenada, probably our 50th anniversary of independence.
Let me add on to what you're saying just before I have to run out. We look at the 4x1, and I'm looking at Canada, who did not make it in. And for the past 2 major championships, they have been on the podium. Past 3 major championships.
By the way,
and if I can go back, the past 4 major championships.
Rudian, I'll find your partner quiet, eh? Link up to deputy. Continue.
And for the past 4 major championships, there has been either either they get disqualified or they end up in third, in fourth, and another team get this. Anyhow, for the past 4 major, they've been on the podium.
Yeah.
And they're no longer on the podium.
Right.
And we also seen like so you come back now in the sprints where they haven't received a medal, which they've been getting medal in the past 4 major championship in from the sprints. They get it in the throws because they got 2 gold medals in the throws, in the hammer and in the hammer throw. And so you just as what you said, countries are investing. We say that all the time. We spoke about this many times. We've seen it in soccer. Philippines winning a game in the World Cup. The Philippines, and that I'm not saying that they're not good enough. I'm not trying to say that they're not, but I'm just saying you don't hear about that. You understand? You go back to cricket. You hear of Afghanistan. When you talk about Afghanistan, you don't talk about cricket to Afghanistan. If I'm speaking to someone, they're going to think of the war. That's what we know about.
Yeah.
They have a team. Fiji, countries people never heard about, have a cricket team. So I'm saying the investment is very important. And if you're not investing in your athlete and let the athlete know that you care about them, then there'll be no one want to take the interest in doing anything. So this is where we stand, and we constantly say, if they're listening, Grenada, you need to invest in the athletes for you to get on the podium more, for you to have more athletes. And not only we're not only speaking about investment in track and field, but investment in sports across the board so that we can get there. So it is time for us to change the way we see things, change our strategy for us to have better and give them that opportunity. Give the athletes the opportunity, but you have to invest in them. Countries are spending money on the athletes, getting proper coaches, making sure that the nutrients is good, making sure that they know that we care about them. And that never happened. And we have seen there's a change coming. There's an absolute change coming. And like we talk about having games every year, it's the United States have NCAA championship every single year. And NCAA championship is like an Olympic Games. Those athletes are to the top of the class. And they also have US trials, which is also to the top of the class. And most of them is competing at the US trials every year. We could easily have a world championships every single year. It may have to change. It encourage countries to have more than one athletes. Some of the Olympics may not have the best athletes, but it may have the country, because the Olympics is about the country representing. The World Championship is really about you because there is money involved. So the Olympics is about the country is representing in the sport. And I think if they do it every year, it will be very good for the athletes. You're going to be encourage them more because, like we said, it's a financial stuff for them. They might need to cut down on the Diamond League, maybe, to encourage a World Championship every year. But when you see countries, like we said, like India, you can't name one. I cannot name a 400-meter runner from Japan. I cannot name a 4x1 runner name from Japan, but they have a 4x1 team.
Well,
you understand?
Well,
so,
the next one, I see Sri Lanka is in it. And you'll wonder, well, Sri Lanka in a 4x4, even competing at the
man, you ask the question. We have the tools. Why we not utilize it? We have the athletes that we can put a 4x4 team together. It is time for Grenada. For if they're listening, I'm going to say it again. It is time for us to change the way we treat track and field in Grenada. And I'm only speaking about track and field now. It is time for them to change and give the athletes the opportunity for them to compete. They have to give them the opportunity.
It could be a good segue for our Kirani James.
Running in
again, we said, so much has been happening around Kirani James, and by far he has gave us that global
everything
attention.
That he has.
Yeah,
he gave us everything.
And he has given us that global attention, not taking away that from Aline Francisque with the World Indo Championship. Not taking away anything even from Anderson Peters, who won back-to-back global.
I know how many of them have done it. How many non-European have ever done that?
Yeah, but the fact of Kirani's competitiveness at World Championships and Olympic Games, and even at the Commonwealth Games, his participation, his fervor for representing Grenada, at any
Yep.
cost. I
Any
think
cost.
it's deserving
Yeah.
that we can look at, him participating at least in a relay with the other guys,
With the other guys,
and
yeah.
giving them an opportunity at least to taste some level of
Yeah,
competitiveness.
and then and it'll be good for him because then it would only be 2 rounds.
Yeah, well, it's also a time for the for I think the
Yeah.
stakeholders in Grenada. They need to sit down and speak about that, and it's not too late because we have the World Relays coming up. As a matter of fact, the World Relays next May.
May, yeah.
14 teams automatically, 14 of the teams
14 automatically get it.
qualify
Yeah.
for the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
So you don't have to even place in the top 8, right?
Gotta be
14
top
teams
14.
automatically qualify for the Olympic Games. Rudian, I know you have to.
Yes, it's
to
definitely
run
a
off.
pleasure. We
Yes,
will
I
continue
appreciate
again. We
Yeah.
definitely will continue again track and field next week because it will be the end. So we will have
Yeah, we need to do a
the
wrap.
tying
We need
in.
to do a wrap, yeah.
But what we have seen, and just before I go, I believe sprints in the Caribbean is back for the men. I know we talk about the exit of Usain Bolt. I believe there is a change coming in the sprint back to the men in the Caribbean, and those guys and them giving the encouragement to other athletes in the Caribbean, other guys to yes, we can do it. And all it takes is one athlete winning a 400 meter, goal in a sprint, and that could be really good for us. So it is coming back. Seville did very well. It was his race to win, and he didn't win it, but it's what it is, But
And
I am proud.
I sure you want to even mention Julian Alfred from St. Lucia, even though she didn't
Yep.
get on the podium.
And we didn't even get a chance because she was on my list and then look how she came. She came fifth in the 100, and she came fourth in the. So she's right there.
Yeah,
She just
14
signed
200.
pro.
Yeah.
She just signed pro, and it's just time for her to do what she have to do. So the future is really good for us in the Caribbean.
And the transition from the NCAA to the the professional, all of that. Yeah.
And the type of athletes we have, I would like to also see. I know I'm speaking out. See a Caribbean championship.
Well,
that would be good to see.
Well, you just have to make the NACAC championship, championship what it should be. Get the athletes to compete at the NACAC championship.
Games.
We do have the NACAC championship where you bring together all the athletes from the area. But
from the area to compete at those games.
It's just that it doesn't get that level of attention and
the
because
globalness of it.
Not all of the top athletes compete, but we need our top athletes in the region to compete at the NACAC championships, right? Whether you're from the United States, you're from Canada, you're from Mexico, Grenada, Jamaica, compete at your area championship.
The area championship.
Because you are considered the best in the world, right?
In the world,
you are considered the best. Make it
and I think what it is too, it's if the stakeholders have to get involved, and if you have the funding, it will be also something good, like a Diamond League. The funding is there in those games. So if you have that, the money, and I think part of it is the interest in the funding. If the funding is higher, then you'll be good. Yeah.
Okay, automatic qualifiers for that heat. Jamaica 2:59.82, France 3 minutes 05, and Italy 3 minutes 14. Right? Netherlands didn't make it. Belgium didn't. Well, I'm talking about the automatic qualifiers.
Yeah.
Germany, and we're talking about Belgium with the top quarter milers, the Bolly brothers. Germany didn't make it. Kenya didn't make it as well. Didn't make the cut. And Sri Lanka didn't make the cut in terms of automatic qualifiers.
So that means give Botswana a chance in?
I think Botswana may have a chance in. May have a chance in based on the time looking there. But Jamaica, France, and Italy took the automatic qualifiers.
When it comes to so when it comes to relay, it'll be also nice to see they do 9 lanes, run nine teams instead of the 8. They have the 9 lanes, and on relay only. It could be interesting just to see, but the rules are the rules, and we can't do nothing. But they have that extra lane just in case something wrong. There's a protest, and they have to run an extra team. Yeah,
give me an extra few seconds, Rudian, because there's something you didn't mention about Sha'Carri Richardson.
Yes, and Hazeland. I can finally say now, she did it. She had finally proven himself on the world stage. I'm not saying that she couldn't do it before. And what I really impressed with
She
her,
just needed to focus. She just needed to
she
focus.
just changed her ways. She changed the
Yeah.
people around her. She changed the way she sees certain things, and I think that's what it was. She's a talented athlete,
Yeah, yeah.
and she's been talented from since college. I always believe in what she's been doing, and I am truly happy for her and her camp. And what she have done is tremendously amazing. Um, and sometimes it's good for the sport itself because it make next year interesting. You know, yes, Hazelin, yes. I know. I spoke bad about her, and I'm coming back and I'm revamping that. Okay, but truly, I have to say that I am extremely proud of her, man. She's a phenomenal athlete. I hope that she can keep it up with the drive. But history
I know the button.
history has shown us
Yeah.
the sequence in terms of how it goes. The USA, Jamaica 2 years in a row they win it. USA win, Jamaica 2 years in a row. USA win, Jamaica 2 years in a row, and USA now. So Jamaica, the next two World Championship is 100 meters should be for them.
But you know, you make an important point there too, because we have to remember that even with Bolt, Bolt had this showmanship as well, right?
Yeah.
He brought that flair into track and field that was really lacking. In fact, Bolt brought track and field that level of global attention as well, right? So
definitely,
they were looking for these people who can bring that. Chikari
who can bring that back, and because of Bolt
in the men, right?
And because of Bolt, a lot of athletes is doing it now. Because of Bolt, everybody have their own style, their own flair. You know, you watch those Jamaican girls. They just focus. You know, but listen.
I don't laugh at what you're saying. I'm laughing at the comments. Some of the comments there, I can't. Folks, if you need to read it, go and read Toro's comments. You know.
But like I said, Michael, I'll be on here. I'm listening, but my video on my I'll be on mute. If I can pop back in just before you go, I'll do it. But I wouldn't fully log off. I'll just go to mute.
It's just about 10 minutes remaining in the program.
Yeah. So I'm just going to mute and listen in the meantime.
Okay then. Yes. So there we had it. With Rudy and at least Toro with his comments. Folks, you will have to read Toro's comments. I can't really read it. Okay. But yes. I would say about Noel Lyles, with the men, except that, you know, Bolt was very serious about his craft, his track and field. I recall some years ago we were going to various islands. Well, we were in the United States, and then we went to that was through an IWF program. And we went to the Caribbean, we went to Jamaica, we went to Puerto Rico, we went to Trinidad, we went somewhere else, Haiti or somewhere, went to the Dominican Republic, and we were doing a day in the life of those athletes. And, you know, we had this sit down with Bolt, and it was Bolt. We had Shellyan was also there. There are a couple of the Jamaican professional athletes, and then also some of the young athletes, even Zanel Hughes, who was schooling and training in Jamaica at the time. He was part of that program. And, you know, we got the opportunity to see Bolt train. You know, early in the morning, we had to get up very early from the hotel and, you know, travel to see Bolt and others train together as part of races, you know, and the sort of seriousness these guys take into their training. And they describe what they eat, what they do after they finish train, where they go, you know, all these sort of things in preparation for major championships. What is their focus, etc., you know. And I'm saying that to say that you will see these guys showboating and things like that. So, but you know, they know their level of preparation, and to some of them, they can, temper their showboating to a level. Bolt brought that attention because he brought all sorts of things to track and field, but he was never like on social media, you know, like how some of them are doing, I should say, you know, which is not good for them. Although I'm hearing that through social media, they make more money than probably their sponsorship. Okay. But I think they need to look at how Bolt has carried himself over the years. High level of competition. And by the way, Bolt used to party, yeah? He used to party a lot. But, you know, all these things are measured, you know, and things like that. So, folks, you know, I'm just enjoying the chat, you know. Where you there? Bring the man. What's India in on the 4x4 Grenada? Where you there? Bring in the man who ran from the farmer. Hold him, bar him. Yeah. Yeah, the talk will continue. And I think it's a fitting tribute to Grenada's 50th anniversary of independence. And by the way, independence, the year of independence is from the 1st of January to the 31st. So we can have anything within that, you know, and I think whether it's the World Relays or the World Relays or the Olympic Games, it's an opportune time for Grenada to participate, see if they can participate at least in a relay, because I'm not certain that outside of Kirani James now, we have any other quality athlete that can be in that mix. Well, at present, I should say, at present, okay? At present. You know, listen, 45 and 46 not making the cut in the flat 400 meters. You have to be doing a 44, you know? You have to be doing sub 45 because you're not getting out of the first round with a 45 and a 46, okay? No, you're not getting out of the first round. You'll get there, and that will just be your first race, okay? Your first and only race, I should say. Yes, folks. One other thing I wanted to share with you, okay, regarding the decathlon. I know I mentioned it in the start, we were talking about it in the start, but I want to share with you the experience of the name Daley Thompson. Some folks may remember him when I, you know, play the clip, but the legendary Daley Thompson, the men's decathlon.
Being a professional sports person is the greatest life in the world. When you look at it, the decathlon really is mostly about speed and power. It was a strong field in Helsinki, and so another reason to relish being there. I kind of had butterflies, but that was just from anticipation. The first event is the 100 meters, and because I started off as a sprinter, I kind of look forward to that, to get a good result, to try and get the ball rolling.
Thompson leading by a long margin. A good start for Daley.
Long jump, and exactly the same again. Try and get your first jump, make it a good one.
What a response from the man.
The early lead was expected because I was the best sprinter. Once the shot put was over.
Oh yes, that's an enormous put for Daley.
Take the shoes off, put your high jump shoes on and get ready for that. I ran fairly well, just managed to stay ahead of everybody. They are all much better hurdlers than me, I'm prepared to say. Even though they've beaten me, I've beaten them because I've gained more points than I was expecting. They've gained less points.
And Daley has run well. What a good piece of throwing from the Olympic champion.
Oh, the pole vault after the discus, so I had a great jump.
Oh, he's clear!
I was pretty pleased. Next up is the javelin.
Oh, absolutely on the nail.
Everybody's shaking hands now. Go back to the drawing board and wait for next year now.
And there's our first world champion.
Always a sense of pride. I was actually the first ever world champion. That is something nobody can ever take away from me.
Daley Thompson, the former British decathlete, he won the decathlon gold medal at the Olympic Games in 1980 and 84. Well, you know, these Olympic Games were, as they said, back in 1980 was Moscow, and then 84 was it Los Angeles? Yeah, and we had the then Soviet Union and the United States, with, you know, who stayed away from the games, but he broke the world record for the event 4 times, and he was unbeaten in competition for 9 years. Daley Thompson, the legendary. Yes. So just to give you an insight into what these athletes really have to go through and endure. Just some comments there before we conclude. Same like the great days of West Indies. Richards and them train hard, played hard, brought a swag to the game, and run behind women and party hard. Yes. Well, if you study the there's a what's the that film, if you may help me with the name, I'm trying to remember it. Yes, they spoke a lot about that, whether it was Viv Richards, Andy Roberts, and all these guys, you know. Michael, the Athletes Commission will be having some forums for athletes. Just want to share. That's good to hear. But I think it's important that we get our athletes to understand the importance of training and competing as well. Well, Jamaica, Canada, and the Netherlands automatic qualifiers for the women's 4x400 meters each one. Let me see who didn't make the, well, Poland, France, Germany, Spain are the others. I think Poland and Spain are the others. Let me see that heat one, Jamaica, Canada, Netherlands, and then we had Poland, France, Germany, Nigeria, and Spain are the others. Oh, Nigeria, the baton fell for Nigeria. Oh, that's what happened. Yes. So yes. Toro and Rudy and your girls made it to the finals, right? It's as if they won it, eh? Yeah. So thank you, folks. Thank you, folks, once again, for a pleasure. We will come back on next Saturday to discuss and have a full wrap of the World Championship and looking forward. Hopefully, I'm saying that. I'm not just, sometimes it's not about hearing just have officials, administrators talking, but we want someone serious who can really give us an idea as to the thinking going forward. What are the plans? What have they seen and learned from this World Athletics Championship, and going forward, what it will be like for Grenada. Thank you. Hey, Michael, how things, man? Michael Jackson. That's Grenada's Michael. Well, one of Grenada's Michael Jackson. Originally from up Fontenoy area. Yes. I was talking about Fontenoy. Oh, I don't want to mention, because I know Michael played football for Fontenoy, and then tour will come about Carnage and Point and Ramfolks and and Rangers and Hanven and Hurricane and blah blah blah. But it's the start of the new season, so at some point in time we have to, as soon as we get rid of our athletics and things like that, so we have to get into our football. We have plans to do a sort of local segment looking at Grenada's football. Okay, I know it will be a tough discussion, because I've been reading some comments on social media about football in Grenada back then, and sometimes we don't like to do a lot of comparing back then to now, but it's important, I believe, to share the history. So people, it's like track and field, you cannot say track and field regarding Grenada started with Kirani James, No, it's not true. It started way before that. We had a lot of athletes who have dominated. Yes, albeit we have social media, we have television now and all these sort of things, but some of them were even as talented as Kirani James. Some didn't probably get the opportunity to move forward and things like that. So, but it's important for people to understand and share the history of Grenada when it comes to sports. I don't think it's something we have discussed in depth, but it's something I think we can look at. Probably it will be difficult to just talk about sports in broad, so we can look at various sporting events. Some time ago we spoke about netball, and things like that. So we can look at football, we can look at basketball, volleyball, pretty much new in terms of development and things like that. So we can look at tennis and table tennis to an extent, because I know since GBS's days going to school, table tennis in the auditorium, and then you had Redman and others with lawn tennis, and things like that. So we can look at these things. By the way, even badminton at PW building. and things like that. They even used to play badminton at the GBSS auditorium. Yes, so things like that we'll look at in the very near future. Edwin Sam, 100 forever. And Lincoln, in the past, we had stars in football. Can't name any today. Yes, that might be a good thing to talk about and to discuss. Condolences to the family of Barbara Constantine Phillip, one of Grenada's greatest netballer and probably a wharf woman as well. Yes, condolences to the family and to the netball fraternity. Yes, to the netball fraternity, Barbara Phillip. Yeah. Thanks very much, folks. Thank you once again. Join us next week, God's willing, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, where we'll discuss more on the World Athletics Championship. And hopefully we'll have some more information as to what it is, or what it will be like for Grenada going forward in track and field. Until then, do have yourself a wonderful day and a fruitful week.